Good morning, everyone, especially to you, Memros. Today, we will discuss the Chapter 1, which is Lesson 1, the K 12 English Curriculum Philosophy, Framework, and Rationality. Objectives. In this lesson, you will able to know what is K 12 English Curriculum Guide, discuss the rationality of English education in the Philippines, and develop your own understanding of teaching English in the elementary grades. Republic Act 10533, entitled An Act Enhancing the Philippine Basic Education System by strengthening its curriculum and increasing the number of years for basic education, appropriating funds therefore and other purposes, also known as the Enhanced Basic Education Act of 2013, firmly grants the implementation of the K-12 curriculum in the Philippines. With it came several changes in the way teaching and learning are done in the country. The teaching of English is no exception. The curriculum is an embodiment of how the nation wishes to address its need and achieve its aspiration through its people. In this lesson, you will learn about the K-12 English curriculum framework, the philosophy behind it, and its rationality. So now, I have a question. What is K-12 Curriculum Guide? Anyone? Okay, according to my research, that a curriculum guides are structured documents that delineates the philosophy, goals, objectives, learning experiences, instructional resources, and assessment that comprise a specific educational program. It also provides an articulation of what students should know and to be able to do, as well to support teacher in selecting how to achieve these goals. What made human civilization possible is language. They say language as a tool because we use it to express complex and abstract ideas in order for us to cooperate, create ideas, and preserve them. Also, in this lesson, we will know what is the views of the K-12 English curriculum in language. So, the K-12 English curriculum, or the language art and multiliteracy curriculum, views language as the primary instrument of thought, which we use to bring our ideas into the world around us and make meaning out of the human experiences. So, the views of the K-12 English curriculum in language is the primary instrument of thought. So you see, language has a huge impact to us, no? Because we use it as a tool to express, and according to the K-12 English curriculum, it is the primary instrument of thought. In short, language is the basis of all communication and it is the foundation of all human relationships.
Good day, everyone. My name is Janice Arvertudaso, your discussion for today. To continue our report, the first reporter mentioned that the K-12 English curriculum, or the language art and multiliteracy curriculum, according to her report, language is a primary instrument of thought, which we can use to bring our ideas into the world around us and make meaning out of the human experience. So for today, I will to continue our report, I will discuss about the rules of a language and so on. So rules of language. So what is rules of language? So it refers to the principle that govern word formations. Syntax. The syntax meaning the arrangement of the words and phrases to create well-formed sentences in a language. So pronunciations and also the several other features of a language. It may also refers to the grammar or the so-called correct or conventional forms of a language. Conventional language is simply the common accepted way people speak in normal everyday conversations. It is commonly a general in terms of vocabulary selection. Words are generally agreed upon as normal and seen in established usage. So these conversations facilitate the way language users construct meaningful utterances to convey ideas. These rules differ from one language to another as they are defined by the people using the language. According to Guistabi 2017, language is used by people to convey everyday ideas. It also carries with it the culture of the people using it. So in that statement, he points out that culture is a language itself. Meanings of the particular language carry with it the meanings that refers to more than the language but also to the culture that uses that language. So language is one of the most important parts of any culture, right? It is the way by which people communicate with one another, build relationships, and create a sense of community. So language always carries meaning and references beyond itself. The meanings of the particular language represent the culture of the particular social group. To interact with a language means to do so with culture which is its reference point. We could not understand a language without having direct access to its language because of their intimate connections, right? So learning a language therefore is not only to read, speak, and write in another language, but to learn of another culture. So we all know that the culture is the defining features of a person's identity, contributing to how they see themselves and the groups with which they identify. So learning a language therefore, as I said earlier, is not only to read, speak, and write in another language, but to learn of another culture. So our language is fundamental to cultural identity. Language is intrinsic to expressions of culture as a means of communicating values, beliefs, and customs. It has an important social functions and foster feelings of the group identity and solidarity. So this understanding of language also consequently comes with the understanding of society. Language evolves and becomes richer.
Good day everyone, I'm Nervin Jan Civicada, and in this part, I will be continuing the discussion of my fellow members. So without further ado, let's continue. Earlier, it was explained to us how important language is. Language is a tool that we humans use to convey or share our thoughts with others. It is even the reason why we were able to create human civilization. Well, this view establishes language as the foundation of human relationships from which we draw the meaning of life. The K-12 English curriculum recognizes this power of language as to make people come together. The K-12 English curriculum believes that language is truly powerful. It allows humans to establish meaningful relationships through communication. We are able to convey our feelings, thoughts, values, and understandings through the use of language. It really brings people together, especially during times of misunderstandings. Moreover, English is also recognized as a universal language, which means most of the world knows how to speak the language. English can be the language in which we connect with other parts of the world. We can use it as a tool to engage and form relationships with different communities, as well as expand our own knowledge about the world. The following principles guide the K-12 English curriculum. In the first one, we have all languages are interrelated and interdependent. From what I understand, students can learn their second language through the use of their first language, which is also called the mother tongue. If they are able to have an understanding of the first language, that understanding can be used as the base to teach the second language. So in my experience during my elementary days, I would notice that our English and Filipino teachers would often teach the same lesson but in different languages. If our English teacher is discussing about nouns, our Filipino teacher would also discuss about mga pangalan, which are basically the same topic, just in different languages. By doing this, we were able to draw comparisons between the two languages and develop our own understanding. In the next one, we have language acquisition and learning is an active process that begins at birth and continues throughout life. What is meant by this is we continue to learn how to use a language properly all throughout our life. Even when we don't go to school anymore, we still learn and continue to improve our language skills. This is because the more we grow older, the more opportunities we have to use our language skills in different settings. We practice it in schools, professional settings like in offices, and even in public. Language acquisition does not stop at any certain point. We continue to learn and improve our skills even when we don't notice it, and it will continue to happen. In the next one, we have learning requires meaning. So from what I understand, this means we have to use our background knowledge in order to learn something new. For a better understanding, here is an example. To learn English, we have to use our first language or our mother tongue language. Using our first language allows us to draw comparisons between the language that we already know and the language that we want to learn. In the next one, we have learners learn about language and how to use it effectively through their engagement with and study of text. As we know, text are any form of written work that can be understood by the reader. So what this principle basically means is that the more we read, the more we understand a certain language. For example, when we read a book, sometimes we stumble upon words that are new to us, and when this happens, we use dictionaries to understand the meaning of that certain word. Our vocabulary expands as well as our understanding of that language. If we understand the language enough, we can effectively use the language in conversations. In the next one, we have successful language learning involves viewing, listening, reading, and writing activities. So, for better learning of a language, language learning should involve varied strategies that allow students to study and view the language in different angles. Learning a language should not be limited to reading or writing only. They should also be able to hear the language and even practice their oral skills by speaking the language. This in turn will help the students to actually understand the language and not just learn the rules. And in the last one, we have language learning involves recognizing, accepting, valuing, and building on learners' existing language competence, including the use of non-standard forms of the language and extending the range of language available to learners. Language learning develops the functional and critical literacy skills of students, meaning that students are not only able to read, write, and know the rules of the language, they are also able to understand it as well. They will be able to reflect on their own use of language and the language of others. Now let's move on to the framework of the K-12 English curriculum. Presented here is the framework of the K-12 English curriculum. So if you did not know, a curriculum framework refers to an organized plan or set of standards or learning outcomes that define the content to be learned in terms of clear, definable standards of what the students should know and be able to do. So as we can see, the foundations of the K-12 English curriculum are the theories of language teaching and acquisition, and theories of language. These three theories have spared 5 components of the language teaching process. They are spiral progression, integration, interaction, contextualization, and construction. So these 5 components cover the effective use of language in 3 major applications of the students' macro skills. So students use their ability to read, write, listen, and speak in terms of understanding cultures, process and strategies, and understanding language. So over here, we can see that listening, speaking, and viewing, reading, viewing, and responding, writing, and representing are intricately intertwined and integrated. They all promote the same outcome, which is thinking. When all of them are combined, students will be able to make meaning through language. When students are able to make meaning through language, the main goals of the English curriculum are achieved, which is to develop the communicative competence and multiliteracies of students. The purpose of assessment is to measure the effectiveness of the curriculum's components and applications. The assessment provides the important feedback to determine whether or not the student's communication abilities and multiliteracies have been fully developed. So that would be all for our report. We hope that you have understood and learned from our discussion. Thank you for listening and have a great day.